Welcome to the University of Maryland. Welcome to the University of Maryland Honors College, and welcome to this webinar. I was just clicking around to make sure we're all in. I think we are all filing in. We may have some more folks come in, but we are so glad that you've joined us here tonight. Um, and we're looking forward to chatting tonight and hoping to connect with you all many more times in the days and weeks to come. My name is Christy Maddox. I'm the Executive Director of the Honors College at the University of Maryland, where I'm also a professor of communication. I've been on the faculty at the University of Maryland for just short of 20 years. I'm joined here tonight by Jenny Lang, who is our Associate Director of the Honors College for Admissions and Recruiting, and Chantel Smith, who's the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Inclusive Communities at the Honors College. We're also joined by a group of our current students who we will introduce in a little bit and who will chime in to answer questions. So the plan for tonight is that I'm going to give what I hope is a short presentation. Let's try for 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to try to give you an overview of everything that's going on in honors, which could take a lot longer than 15 or 20 minutes, but we'll keep it brief. And we'll have lots of time for Q&A with us from the honors staff team and then our students as well. So let's get to it. I don't have control of my slides. Somebody else have control of my slides? Thank you. So here's what I want to do tonight. I want to talk about why Maryland Honors. What is our Honors College all about? How does it work? And then I want to drill more specifically into what are the programs that make up Maryland Honors. And then, like I said, we will have time for Q&A. So we in the Honors College at the University of Maryland are brought together by one simple unified mission, which is that we want to equip academically talented students, so that's you, at the University of Maryland, to become ethical, informed, and engaged leaders in addressing grand challenges and advancing the public good. A simpler way to say that, and what we mean more specifically, is that we hope that honors is a place where you will hone your academic skills specifically and find ways that you can put them in service of the greater good, both now and in your lifetime into the future. And that can include a wide range of academic skills. That might be honing your skills as a writer, honing your skills of data analysis, data visualization, your skills in the lab, whatever your skills might be now and into the future. We want to help you hone those skills, but we also, really importantly, want to help you start to see why those skills matter in the world and how you can use those skills to improve your communities on both a local and global scale. That's all we're trying to do in Maryland Honors. Oh, I don't have my control of my slides. Thank you. So we are so thrilled that you have been admitted to the University of Maryland and invited to our Honors College. I think what you'll discover is that there's something special about Maryland Honors. And what's special about Maryland Honors is the way that we're creating a small, tight-knit living learning community within the context of the big research university and all it has to offer. So I suspect, since you applied to the University of Maryland, you know a little bit about what the University of Maryland has to offer. We are, of course, a big research institution with all the things that come with that. All the NCAA Division I big athletics that you could possibly hope for. Our students turn out at football games and basketball games. I will be honest, this is not the best year for me to make the pitch that you should come to the University of Maryland for our athletics, but we do have good years. We had a great run in men's soccer this year. We have lots of student enthusiasm around all of our sports. If you have never been to a Maryland basketball game, when they roll out that flag that we're seeing in the picture right there, there is nothing like watching the student section go crazy when that flag comes down. So that's, at the University of Maryland, you get the benefit of being in that big flagship institution environment. On this campus, we have more than 100 majors. We have a major in fermentation science. We have a major in global public health. We have a major in criminology. You name it, we have a major. There's more than 100 of them. If you can't find a major that interests you at the University of Maryland, I would be shocked. We also have a major research enterprise. Our faculty are highly research active. We have faculty running labs, studying things, covering the gamut. And there are many, many opportunities for our students to get involved in those research labs. We also, given the size of the institution, have an extensive alumni network. Our alumni are proud Terps. They look out for each other, and they are rooted in cities all across the United States and around the world. So anywhere you go, you will find Terp alumni. And just, look at LinkedIn for some evidence of that. And our alumni come back to campus. They're active. They're active in our career center and other ways of mentoring and reaching out to our students. And then again, part of being in a big flagship research institution, we have extensive student clubs on this campus. Again, name your really niche interest, and there is a club for that on this campus. And if there isn't, you can start one. I'll give one example. We have a student in honors who started a club a few years ago called mm, Meet Me at behind McKeldin Mall. Now I'm embarrassing myself because it's a takeoff of a Taylor Swift lyric, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but our main mall on campus is called McKeldin Mall. So the club was kind of a takeoff from the Taylor Swift lyric, but it was a club of students who wanted to get together and listen to Taylor Swift, and it kind of branched out. They listened to other pop music and just enjoyed time chilling together. That club didn't exist before. One of our honor students started it. That's the kind of thing that's possible on this campus. So within the context of that big university, and I'm assuming that was the stuff you already knew, what Honors does is create a small college that helps you build deep and lasting connections. We do that by providing residential opportunities. So all of our programs are living learning programs. That gives you the opportunity to live with other folks from your program on campus. You do not have to live on campus to be in honors, but if you do live on campus, you can and should live with your living learning program. Our programs are all interdisciplinary. We'll see that when we get into the programs more specifically, what that can look like. They all have small classes that really emphasize faculty relationships, you building relationships with our faculty. These are leading faculty in their fields doing cutting edge research. They're just really interesting people. And there will be opportunities to get involved in their research and other things that they have going on. And then another hallmark of our living learning programs is that they all have very active student groups, student leadership groups, student service clubs. Again, different from program to program, and we'll get into some of the specifics of that. But that's true across our programs. So everything I just said just now is true of all of our programs. These are the hallmarks of our living learning programs in honors. We're going to move on now and start to think about what distinguishes our programs. So that was what they had in common. Of course, at the heart of our honors college at the University of Maryland, and this does separate us from what honors might look like at other institutions. At the heart of our honors college are these 8 living learning programs. And that's what we invite you to do in the next 10 days or so, is preference which of these living learning programs you think will suit you best. So that's why I want to talk about each one of them today. And I'm just going to give you a little overview of them. And then there are many ways that you can find out more information about them. In case you're a multitasker, I'll just tell you, if you go to our website, honors.umd.edu, from the very first website, there is a button that says, I think, See Programs. And if you click on that and scroll down, you'll see our 8 programs laid out side by side. And that's a place where you can do some clicking around and learn more about the programs. From each one of those, there is a link to the programs website. There's also a link to a video that the program team made just this past month, giving you an overview of their program. So I'm still going to give you an overview, but if you want to multitask, you can look at what they've done at the same time. So these are our 8 programs, and I'll go through them one by one now. So our biggest program, enrolling about between 400 and 450 students each fall, is University Honors. You'll also notice as I go through these slides that there's the Instagram handle for each one of them. That's another way you can multitask if you want to just see what they've been posting on Instagram lately. Each program posts a different set of things. One of my favorite things is just to look at what kind of events they've been advertising. That gives you a sense of the flavor of what's going on in these programs. So University Honors is the most multidisciplinary of our programs. All disciplines, all colleges on campus are represented in University Honors. The curriculum is structured around a gateway course that every student takes to start that kind of ushers you into university honors and ushers you into the university and gives you the lay of the land. Then you'll take a Vantage Point class that's at the end where you kind of put it all together. And what you're doing in between is taking classes from clusters or tracks. The current clusters and tracks in University Honors are available on the University Honors website, but they're cool. They're things, there's one that's conserving biodiversity, there's one that's about homeland insecurities. They are all they're all really multidisciplinary approaches to cutting edge topics that affect us all. Oh, that's what the next bullet point said, that they are all timely and topical. University Honors, because it's the biggest, also works very hard to create a sense of spirit among its students. So it has a system of houses, Harry Potter-esque, and then they have house competitions, and they do all kinds of enrichment activities from fun, pumpkin painting night kind of stuff to career development kind of things, panels with their alumni. All of that is enrichment. They do have an annual study abroad trip to Oxford. ACES, which is formerly Advanced Cybersecurity Experience for Students, is our living learning program that is dedicated to cultivating the next generation of cybersecurity leaders. ACES will bring in just short of 100 students in a cohort each year, and they will offer multidisciplinary perspectives on cybersecurity. What really drives ACES is a series of industry partnerships, and that's both industry, like the private sector, so partnerships with organizations like Northrop Grumman and Amazon, but also partnerships with the federal government, specifically the National Security Agency. And ACES, another real hallmark of ACES is professional development. Lots of contact with those organizations that I just listed. Folks from those organizations will come in and speak to the students, work with the students, mentor the students. And then also there are just lots of professional development workshops on, resume building, LinkedIn, all of the things that you might need to know to get a job and to be successful in the workplace. And this is another one where check out their Instagram. You will see some of what they've had going on this year in that area. You'll get a sense of the flavor. HGLOW. So this is Honors Global Challenges and Solutions, which is really a program that is dedicated to teaching students how to use data science to help solve global challenges. They worked very hard to frame this program about being about both the challenges and the solutions. It's hard to think about global problems. We're talking poverty, climate change, government instability, fascism, all of that stuff that's really hard to think about. HGLOW wants students to see how using data science can help equip us with solutions to those problems so that it doesn't have to be so discouraging all the time. HGLOW has both research and internship tracks. That internship track, most students do it through UMD's program that's called Global and Federal Fellows. And actually, there's a state fellows part of that as well. So the students get internships in both state, federal, and global organizations. All of that is cool. I have a soft spot for the Maryland General Assembly. Our students do great internships at the Maryland General Assembly, really learning like on the ground how politics works. That's not to take away from the other levels. Also, we just had a student doing an internship in Hakeem Jeffries' office, which was really fascinating in its own way. So our students do great internships at all levels. And then HGLOW, being as global as they are, has a couple really great study abroad programs going right now. They've been going to Panama over spring break, and then this year they're going to go to Brazil over Maymester. If you do the linking around, if you do some clicking through HGLOW's pages, you will find your way to, they kept a blog on their last Panama trip. Fascinating day by day what they got to do in Panama. It was interdisciplinary in all the ways that we are so proud of, because they were learning about like ecology alongside indigenous peoples, alongside the actual economy and engineering of the canal that Panama is so rooted around at this point. So I dare you to read their blog and not go look up plane tickets to Panama. It was so compelling how fascinating of a trip they took. All right, what's next? Okay, honors humanities. So, Honors Humanities is a great program for students who love movies, music, literature, art, any sort of celebration of the arts and humanities. This is a great program for students from all majors. I should have said that about all these programs. Maybe I have. All of our programs are for students from across majors. Um, Honors Humanities is great for students majoring in the humanities. It's also great for students who love the humanities but want to major in something else. Honors Humanities can kind of balance that out. You want to major in mechanical engineering, but you don't want to give up your love of dance and painting. Honors Humanities might be your outlet for those passion hobbies. Um, Through Honors Humanities, you'll also develop skills like writing, speaking, analysis, creativity. Our Honors Humanities students do really cool Keystone projects. They do that in their second year. Uh, they're making videos, they're telling stories, they're out in the community, they're working with people. I love their projects. That might be worth clicking around a little bit also just to get a sense of the flavor of some of their projects or watch their video because the stuff they do is great. Oh, the other real hallmark of Honors Humanities is they go on the best field trips. Every time I'm talking to them, they've just been to a museum or they went on a tour of public art in DC, or they go to see a cool play. Their sophomores go to New York every year. For some of you may be from New York, like you're like whoop-de-doo, but for some of our students, they've never been to New York City. They go up to New York and see their first Broadway show. What better chance to go see your first Broadway show than with a handful of your best friends who you've been living with for a couple of years? So Honors Humanities is just a great place to be. uh, Design cultures and creativity. So DCC is united around one central concept, and that is designing to make better worlds. DCC's students are designers at heart. They are makers and builders. And I love that DCC exists at this intersection of art and technology with this slide, which this slide says. But what I love even more is that DCC is really broad-minded about what counts as technology. And as the DCC director would tell you, chiseling on stone tablets counts as technology. Woodworking counts as technology. Painting is technology. Now, a lot of students in DCC are interested in digital technologies, but they're building in all of these ways all the time. And there's always one student who's, yes, making a film and editing it next to another student. There was a student whose capstone in DCC last year. She was really concerned with deep sea ecology and deep sea creatures that most of us have never heard about. But she wanted to represent them in a non-traditional way. So she wanted to represent them using recycled materials. So she had all of her friends and classmates and dorm mates collecting recycled materials for her. And she would be like, I really need a large tin can. Has anybody seen a large tin can? And they're scouring thrift shops and I think they did some dumpster diving. And she built these amazing models of these deep sea creatures in the spirit of doing sort of an educational project, teaching her peers about some of the threats to these deep sea creatures. I'm probably not doing justice to her project, but that was just to give you a sense of just how interesting and nuanced and creative the students working in DCC are. Now, I didn't mean to deter you. Don't listen to that and think I could never be that creative. This is what DCC brings out in people. It brings out their creative side. The other cool thing about DCC is that you have access to the spaces that allow you to be this creative. So DCC maintains this just beautiful maker space. The students love to hang out in their maker space. They also have this cool sound studio. If you scroll far enough back in their Instagram, you will find this awesome video they made making music out of an electronic pencil sharpener and some other office tools in their sound studio. I did not know you could make music out of electronic office tools, but you can. And actually, if you look at their Instagram, this is another thing you'll see about DCC, is they have a thriving series of workshops right now. Every week, somebody is coming into DCC and teaching their peers, most of these are peer-led, about some art or craft form. I will say the director of DCC has been teaching some workshops on like making kombucha and making hot sauce, pickled peppers. You can look at their Instagram, like I said, and see exactly what he's been teaching. But like I said, they really think broadly about what creativity can look like and how we can all bring our skills to bear in the service of, as they would say, designing for better worlds. Gemstone. So GEMS is the only of our programs that is not 2 years. The rest of our programs are designed to be finished in 2 years. GEMS is designed to take the 4 years of your undergraduate experience. Having said that, GEMS, like the others, is 15 credits. They're all 15 except one or two are 16 credits. Um, so GEMS takes the same number of credits as the other programs. It just spreads them out more over the 4 years because in GEMS, you spend a year kind of ramping up, learning about doing research, getting more sophisticated in your research skills, spend some time sorting into teams. And then once you're on a team from your sophomore year on, you are working on a faculty member's research team, although your GEMS team is really developing your own project related to that faculty member's research. And you guys are guiding it for the next 3 years. Our GEMS students produce the most sophisticated research produced by undergraduates on this campus. They blow me away year after year with just how interesting their projects are. This is another one. Actually, look at maybe their social media, but definitely our main honor social media. We've got some great stories about the research they've done. I can't even pick one to tell you about, but I'm going to try anyway. There's one really recently on our social media that's about some research they've been doing with a researcher at Children's Hospital in DC about Zika virus and its consequences. That's really interesting. I was thinking about another team this past year that was really interested in maternal health outcomes and specifically the disparity in maternal health between Black women and non-Black women, I think was how it was framed. But it was a very social science project. These were not like pre-med students necessarily. These are students that wanted to go out in the community and talk to folks and develop a more social scientific project, trying to make sense of what are some of the risk factors and what explains the differences in maternal health factors. And so those students were out on the ground here in Prince George's County. They were going to farmers markets, they were going to other events, meeting people, talking to them, I don't remember if they did surveys or focus groups or interviews, but they were out actually trying to learn about people's real life lived experiences in a way to help explain the maternal health gap. So, like I said, just really cool research going on in GEMS. And then interdisciplinary business honors, IBH, is again a program for students from across majors. I hope you're getting that from all of these. All of these, you can be in lots of different majors and enter these programs. Interdisciplinary business honors wants to help students connect business as a setting to the grand challenges of our time. So social, environmental, public health, human rights topics. So you might be majoring in psychology or criminology or biology, but any one of those things has important intersections with business and the private sector. We can't, biology can't make any advances in improving patient outcomes. Bioengineering can't make any advances in creating new devices if they don't also understand the landscape of industry, the places where that stuff is going to get made and sold and worked out deals with insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So IBH can help you, regardless of what your particular interest is, see how your interest interfaces with um, industry. IBH, like the other programs, has internship opportunities. They're very good at kind of channeling students into internships. They do go abroad every January, I should say. Many of these programs have study abroad options. Study abroad is not required in any of these programs. In IBH, they went to Switzerland this past month. They went to Italy the year before. I think they went to France one year, and they have great connections in business in everywhere they go, and they land, and the students get to go and meet business leaders across industries wherever they have ended up. They also did a similar trip just to New York in the fall. So lots of fun trips through IBH also. All right, I think I just have one more. Yes. So Integrated Life Sciences, ILS, is a program that offers a holistic approach to biological sciences. What's really great about ILS is it is sort of an accelerated pathway into biology, biochem, bioengineering. really taking a bioinformatics approach to genomics. So using like high throughput computation, as I understand it, to understand genomics and to get to a point where to help students get to a point where they can start to use these computational tools to um, contribute to solving problems in the health sciences. So a lot of students who are pre-health like to join ILS. It gives you a nice kind of cohort experience of other students who are pre-health across the pre-health careers. Two hallmarks of ILS are that all students in ILS do a significant service project, and those service projects are usually connected to the health sciences in some way. And all students in ILS do a significant research project, usually working in either a faculty member's research lab or another research lab in the DC area, like over at NIH in particular, or one of the academic hospitals. Um, One of the things that's so special about ILS, I mean, the students are phenomenal and talented, and they will help connect each other to these things. But the faculty and staff of ILS also have great connections and will help students find their way to these research opportunities. So I think that's all 8 of our programs. Um, like I said, we have lots more chances over the next week or so for you guys to get more information as you think about how you're going to preference these 8 great choices. Um, Jenny and Chantel and some of our honors ambassadors will be doing Zoom virtual Q&As. Drop in when you can. You see 3 different time slots, Tuesday, Friday, and Monday. My personal favorite is that we will be doing an AMA on Reddit on Wednesday. I've been seeing on Reddit that lots of you have questions about honors, about choosing a program, about the differences between programs. Come back to Reddit and just ask those questions again. Even if you already asked them, if you didn't get a good enough answer, if you want more answers, come back, ask them again. And some of our current students will be there ready to answer in just one joint AMA thread on Wednesday of this week. And then, yes, I said you had like 10 days, but you don't. You have 1 week. The preference form deadline is next Monday, February 16th. So with that, I'm going to stay on, but I'm going to invite Jenny and Chantel to de-lurk, and they're going to start taking some questions. They're going to introduce our honors ambassadors, and collectively we'll all take some questions.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for being here. So my name is Jenny Lang. I'm the Associate Director for Admissions in the Honors College, and my colleague Chantel is here. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Chantel Smith. Again, I'm the Assistant Director for Recruitment and Inclusive Communities in the Honors College. It's nice to virtually meet you, even though I can't see you, but you can see me. Nice to meet you.
Okay, and I see that some of you have started to find the Q&A, so thank you so much. If you want to keep putting questions in the Q&A, that's going to be the easiest way for us to track those questions and make sure we get answers to as many questions as we can tonight. I'm going to invite our honors ambassadors to come on camera, and we'll have you all introduce yourselves. All right, I'm going to stop sharing because it's easier for me to see. We will put these links up again later on if you need them. So, okay. Ursula, how about you go first?
Hi everyone, my name is Ursula. I am a senior this year, double majoring in finance and accounting. I am in the interdisciplinary business honors program. I'm actually in cohort 1. So I was the first program when the program was created, and I'm from Kensington, Maryland.
Thank you. And Antonia?
Hi, everybody. My name is Antonia. I'm a junior in the Gemstone Honors College, and I'm studying cellular biology and molecular genetics, as well as psychology on the pre-med track.
And Kennedy?
Hi, I'm Kennedy Grams. I'm a freshman in the HBO program. I'm studying international relations and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
And Sneha?
I'm Sneha. I'm a sophomore studying computer science, and I'm in the ACES program.
Okay, Mariah?
Hi everyone, I'm so sorry if you hear a little background noise. My name is Mariah. I'm a sophomore from Salisbury, Maryland, and I'm a general biology major on the pre-dental track, and I'm minoring in nonprofit leadership, and I'm in university honors.
Maddie?
Hi everyone, my name's Maddie. I'm a sophomore majoring in biochemistry with a minor in general business. I'm in the University Honors Program and I'm from Mount Airy, Maryland.
Mallory?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mallory. I'm in the Integrated Life Sciences program. I'm a sophomore majoring in chemistry on the pre-med and pre-law tracks, and I am from Rockville, Maryland.
Okay, and finally, Eleanor.
Hi, my name is Eleanor. I'm in the Honors Humanities program and I'm a junior this year studying both finance and philosophy, politics, and economics, and I'm from Howard County, Maryland.
Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, so I just want to point out we are going to do our best to answer as many of these questions out loud as we can. We are recording the session tonight, and we will post this recording on our website so you can review or share it with anyone else who is not able to be here. So I am going to start with some sort of more general questions. The first one is a common, very common question that we get all the time. And the question is, what is the difference between the honors programs and scholars programs? I'm actually not going to ask our students to address that unless you guys really want to, but because your experience is in honors, you can't really address what the experience in scholars is like. So what I am going to say is that they are both programs that offer students the opportunity to be in a living learning program, the opportunity to have this smaller community that Christy was talking about in their experience, and then access to everything that the University of Maryland offers. A few minor differences. A big focus of the Scholars Program is all of the students take part in a service project and service throughout their 2 years in the program. And as Christy mentioned, some of our programs do have service components. Obviously, students can participate in service. It's just not a bigger part of the Honors College as a whole. And we in Honors consider our students a part of the Honors College all 4 years, so until they graduate. Obviously, GEM students are active and taking courses all 4 years since that program is a 4-year program. But the other programs are designed to be completed generally in about 2 years. Anyone want to add anything to that? Okay. So another question is, are you able to switch honors programs? If, for example, if I join one program, would I be able to switch to another program? Generally, those options are there, but they are very limited. So we do really strongly recommend that you are listing on your preference form programs that you are very interested in. Most students will get into one of their first 3 choices that they've listed. Some might be fourth or fifth, but we do our best to get students into a program that they've ranked highly as much as possible. But because the curriculum each program has a completely different curriculum. You can't transfer credit from one program to another. And so we do have an opportunity for students who really aren't happy in their program or have something they're really more interested in to apply to transfer during their freshman year. And then if they are invited to change programs, they would begin the new curriculum in the sophomore year, in the fall of their sophomore year. So yes, there is an opportunity. You just have to be aware that the curriculum, the credits don't transfer. You would need to start the new curriculum and the new program over in the fall. Okay, so let's get some questions here for students. Okay, Antonia, would you like to answer anything from your experience about selecting the Gemstone project? And there's a question about switching projects if you don't like the one your group chose.
Yes, I would love to speak about this. So, the way that it's formed is that freshman fall, I was a TA actually for GEMS 101, but you're going to have that introductory course. That's where you're going to get to know your teammates, just your classmates overall, who's in the program, and you're going to start talking about your research interests and what you're interested in pursuing in the future. Come spring, that's when you actively start listening to faculty proposed projects, or you actually start collaborating with your friends that you've made in the program to pitch your own idea. So that's exactly what I did. I co-presented for a few weeks with 2 of my good friends, and what happens is that there's a huge round of voting, and this happens like at least 3 times, so there are a couple of rounds. if the cohort is interested enough, your project will go through. And then you are going to be assigned by your second round of TAs where you will go based on your preference form. So once again, you're going to rank this just as you're ranking honors colleges right now. And ideally, you will end up within your first, if not second choice. It is not possible to switch, so we urge freshmen to consider very well like what they're interested in and why they want to do this. We also ask if you would like to be placed with certain people or if you have preferences, because sometimes that does affect. Um, Okay, and if you're unable to stay for the full 4 years, sometimes you are able to stay on. So my mentor in the program graduated within 3 years, and her last year she is in Texas currently, but she is attending all her meetings with the research team on Zoom, and she is also contributing, writing her thesis, and she will be flying in to present with the rest of her team.
Great. Thank you, Antonia. Maddie, I see that you would like to answer a question about after the 2 years are over, what do you do from there?
Yes, so I'm currently in my second year in the University Honors Program, but that definitely doesn't mean that the support stops there. I know there are a lot of events, like for us, a UH alumni panel, where you get to interact with faculty members and people from UH that have from all different years. Faculty are always very welcoming. You can always go talk to them. They have office hours, different kinds of things. And then also, I've met so many great people. I remember during my freshman year on my floor that became my best friends. So honestly, just those connections definitely stay past those 2 years, and you get all of the same amazing opportunities, even after you've technically gotten your citation.
Thank you, Maddie. And Mariah, a question for you. As a public health major, I would like a program more directly with my major. Which honors program would you recommend? And sorry, Mariah, before you start here, I'm just going to point out I do see several questions that are like, I'm this major, which program is the correct fit for me? And I'm going to just say, as Christy mentioned, there are majors, all of majors are welcome in all of the programs. So you might be interested in choosing a program that is closely aligned with your major, and I'm sure that some of the students on here have done that. You might be interested in choosing something that is completely different from your major. And sorry, I didn't catch everyone's majors and which programs you're in, but maybe if there's a student who can speak to that experience, that would be great. So, Mariah.
Yeah, so I'm a bio major and I chose university honors. And I just have to say, I wanted something that was related possibly to biology, but wasn't as technical, like I think integrated life sciences may be. So I've really liked university honors because it gave me a different perspective on health and also gave me the option to take classes that weren't as related to health. So my freshman year, I took the AI cluster, which was all about the societal impact of AI, which was super interesting. And then this year, I'm taking, I think it's called the Health Matters cluster. And the first class is about like Black as a risk factor in modern medicine and why Black is put on as a risk factor. And the second class that I'm taking is about abortion in U.S. society. So I think that like these are very niche topics that are important for someone who's going into medicine to be able to discuss and learn about. So as a public health major, I would just say to be open-minded because you will be taking a lot of classes that have to do with public health. So if you want to try something different or look at things from a different perspective, I think that UH is a great way to do that, or really any of the honors colleges, I'm sure. And I'm sure like Mallory might be able to speak on this more because she's in ILS. But yeah, that's just my advice.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I've seen a few questions on here about where to find the preference form. Do you have to commit to submit the preference form, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the preference form should be available in your TERPS application portal. So the place where you can access your admission letter, you should be able to find the TERPS application portal in there. If you have questions or can't find it, email us, honorsadmissions@umd.edu. Chantel and I check that and usually respond to all emails that come in during the day on weekdays. So if you have any questions, just contact us at honorsadmissions@umd.edu. The honors preference form does not commit you to anything. You do not have to commit to UMD before you submit that form. We really encourage you to submit that form on or before that February 16th deadline, because that is, we will, make sure that we put you in a program, and we will do our best to get you in a program that you have preferenced high. You can submit the form later, but it will sort of be what's available at that point, which program still has spaces available. So we really recommend that you get the form in by February 16th. It does not commit you to UMD. You will still have until May 1st to make your decision about whether or not you want to enroll at the University of Maryland. But if you submit that form on or before February 16th, we will get you an information about which program you are invited to in very early March. So those invite letters for the program invites come out, I think, around the first week in March. So you will have that information early March, and then you will have until May 1st to make a decision about whether or not you want to attend the University of Maryland. There's also several questions about the dorms and residence halls. I did see a question about, someone has already submitted the Res Life form, and will they know to put your student in the honors program? Yes. We, honors, will make sure that Res Life knows who our incoming students are and which program they're in, so that Res Life will make those housing assignments based on which program you're in. So we will take care of that part. Each of our programs are housed in a specific residence hall on campus. I will say there are 3 programs that require students to live in their program housing. So if you are not planning to live on campus, think carefully before preferencing these programs. The programs that require housing are ACES. ACES requires students to live in their hall for 2 years. IBH requires their students to live in their program for 1 year, and ILS requires students to live in their housing for 1 year. The other 5 programs strongly recommend that you live in their program housing, but do not require it. So, like I said, if you are planning to live off campus or be a commuter student, great. We are very happy to have you in the Honors College. We just would recommend that you preference one of the other programs. Do you guys want to talk about your experience in the residence halls in your first and or second years?
Yeah, I can talk about that, if that's okay. Yeah. Yeah, so all ILS freshmen live in La Plata Hall, which is a great location on campus. It's like super close to the main gym, Epley, very close to one of the dining halls, Yehentimitsi. And I would say it's a great experience. What's really convenient is that all of the classes that ILS first year students take, the TA, teaching assistant, office hours, teaching assistants are basically upperclassmen who essentially help the professor run a course smoothly. But those office hours where you can go and talk to them and get your questions answered about assignments are literally on the floor you live on. So all ILS first years live on 8th and ninth floor of La Plata, and all of the TA office hours are held on ninth floor in the lounge. So it's really nice because it'll be like 7 p.m. and cold outside, but I'll still have access to someone who can help me with my homework assignment or whatnot. So I think it's a great experience. It's also just nice because you can pass by the lounges and see people inside studying or having a movie night or playing video games or doing whatever. So I would say it's like a very nice environment. La Plata is also great because we have study rooms. So a lot of ILS students like to go in there and just host study sessions before exams, both first year students and the sophomores who do decide to continue to live in La Plata.
I can talk about kind of for university honors. So all university honors students live in either Johnson Whittle Hall or Pyeon Chen Hall, which are both right next to Yehentimitsi. And actually under the dining hall is where a lot of our university honors classes are held. So it's really nice to be able to go, get breakfast and then go right to class. But both of those dorms are almost brand new. They're extremely nice. I remember on move-in day, I walked in and I was so excited because it was just such a nice dorm. And it's really great because obviously you're living with everyone in UH, so you get to meet people right away. I know our RAs had like events in the lounge and stuff, so we got to meet all different kinds of people. And like I had mentioned earlier, they became some of my best friends.
I can talk a little bit about Dorchester Hall, which is the dorm associated with H-Glow. I'm a freshman, so I'm still living in Dorchester Hall, and it's been a really nice experience this year. On Fridays, we have discussion sections for the classes that are within the H Club program, and those are held in the basement of Dorchester. So it's really nice to be able to just take the elevator downstairs, and that's your commute to classes. But otherwise, we're in a really central location, which makes it really easy to make it to a lot of classes on the mall or in other areas. And the mall is the most central part of campus, and it's very picturesque. So it's also a really nice place to live, just because of the scenery. But Dorchester, like other honors ambassadors have mentioned, it also is a really close community. It's a small dorm, and I had a lot of the same experiences with meeting people who are also living in Dorchester, and those people becoming my closest friends.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in to give Jenny a break from talking. Um, I'm trying to keep up with the questions. A lot of them are similar, so I'm trying to group some of them together, to knock them out. While I'm doing that, though, I did see one specific one that the students can answer. The question was, what is the difference between, or what are the differences between ILS and Gemstone, um, excluding the time difference? So if ILS and Gemstone student want to talk about that? ILS, you can go first if you want.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So, um, I would say the primary differences or the things that I think make ILS unique from the other programs, every program has things that make them unique. But for ILS specifically, for example, we have a research requirement. All ILS students complete at least 240 hours of research. Of life sciences research in the same laboratory, which is great because that encourages you to make long-term connections with PIs, aka principal investigators, the people who head these labs. Another component is that the courses that ILS students take. So, for example, like Professor Maddox was speaking about before, all first year students in their and they take first year and second year students. They take a course called HLSC 280, which is Integrative and Quantitative Concepts in Biology, which is a bioinformatics course. It basically blends the knowledge you learn in your high school or college biology classes and then adds a very new technological component to it. You even learn how to code. You learn a coding language, which for me was a very new experience. So I would say the courses, the research component, and then our service projects. I know that there's some overlap in some components, but our service projects are all within a life sciences context. So, like, for example, I did work with a food pantry. I still do work with that food pantry, which is great. But I would say the main things that make us a little bit different, definitely the coursework, the size of the courses, and the research and service components as well.
I will like to agree with Mallory because Gemstone is essentially purely research. Granted, there's a community that we're building, so there are mentoring programs, there's an honors council for specifically Gemstone, which I'm a part of. There are opportunities to TA, so you can find your niche. However, it is research for 4 years. We don't have specific service opportunities. We don't have specific classes that teach us genetics, which is like a requirement for ILS students in their spring semester, freshman year, perhaps. But in any case, we don't have those bio-integrated courses, and a lot of our cohort goes into engineering or computer science or biology. So we're a lot of STEM majors. There are some political science majors. There is a business major, so we are interdisciplinary, but it is research based. So there is no other component to Gemstone other than that.
Thank you guys for that. One quick announcement, because I see some questions coming in the chat that we're not able to answer from there. So if you guys could defer to the Q&A section, it should be at the bottom of your screen. We'll be able to answer the questions from there. I see several of them coming in, but I can't keep up with it. Okay, so going back in, I see a few people have upvoted a question about what if you don't get into the honors program you like. I did hear someone mention this earlier, but just to reiterate, so if you do not, after the preferencing time is over and you are and then notified about which program you're in, you then have a chance at that point to reach out to us at honorsadmissions@umd.edu, just to let us know. And then what we'll do is if you tell us what program that you would like to be in, we will put you on a wait list. And after all the preferencing has been done and we see exactly where we land after the May 1st deadline, then we will go back through those wait lists to see where their space is available, and we'll go based off of that. So there is an option to do that, but it's not guaranteed. But if you have any questions, you just feel free to jump in to email us.
Chantel, can I jump in on that really quickly? Because even if you don't get your top choice honors program, I hope what you're starting to see is that there's more than one program that you would fit in. And I don't know if any of the students want to jump in on this. I hear from students over and over again, I thought I really wanted to be in X program. I ended up in Y program. This has been the right program for me. Of the ones on the call, is that true for any of you guys that you didn't get your top choice, but it all worked out, or did you all get your top choice?
So I was originally trying to get into ILS, but I came from a school that didn't offer any AP courses. So I was unable to have that 5 in AP biology, which was a requirement for ILS at the time. And I would just like to say that Gemstone is such a big part of who I am now. I actually recently became president of Gemstone, so it just goes to say how much I enjoy and appreciate the program, and it's led to so many great opportunities, so many good friends, and just overall, I wouldn't change it for the world. So if I could go to ILS, I'm sorry, Mallory, but I would not do that anymore. I like it too much here.
Thank you for mentioning that too. Yeah, that is, we typically, I want to say about 90% of our students typically do get within their first three choices, but we do have a few that have gotten lower than that. And trust me, they're happy where they're at. Today we don't have him on a call, but we have a student who I think he was in like his fourth or fifth choice. And most students would have been like, I don't want to do this. He is so happy that he's in that program. And he always talks about when he's on calls talking to students, he always talks about that, about how he thought that he wanted to be in another program, but he just felt like, where he was placed was where he was meant to be. So just keep that in mind. And after, like, if you're in a program, there is another time to then apply to transfers at the end of your freshman year. You can apply. If you really do not like the program, you can apply to go into another program. But again, that's another not guaranteed thing, but the option is there. Let me go back. Okay.
I can address a question that I'm seeing a couple times about AP credits and transferring to honors. So AP credits will transfer to UMD. That absolutely for sure. Those courses will transfer. Students will get credit for AP courses. They just aren't going to count towards any of your honors college courses. And that's because the courses that are offered in honors are just such unique courses that the courses that you're taking in high school and taking the AP exams for, they're not the same types of courses that our students are taking. So, students taking, mentioned AP Bio, the courses aren't the same that the students in ILS are taking. ILS is actually an interesting example in that there are bio courses that are required as part of the AP or as part of the ILS curriculum. And so students do have to have the first year of bio, whether they come in with that or as Antonio mentioned. Now we do have an option for students who do not have that previous experience. Those students can be invited to ILS and they just will take, their first year of bio in their freshman year and then take the ILS bio courses in their sophomore year. So that is a possibility as well. So the courses that you're taking now, AP courses or IB courses or MC or other community college courses, dual enrollment courses will absolutely count towards your University of Maryland degree. They just do not count within the honors college curriculum. And there are some questions about the preference form. Yes, we do require students to list 5. As we mentioned, we do our best to make sure students are in as high a program as we can that they've listed. But We do have some programs that are very competitive, that there are a lot of students that want to join with only limited spaces. And so we do need to make sure that we have 5 options for every single student to be able to place in. There's a bunch of questions in there about how do we make those decisions? Like what makes the decision? How do we decide which students are in which program? Honestly, the programs review your preference form submissions and make those decisions. So my recommendation is when you fill out and submit the preference form, talk about why you're interested in the program and the courses and that sort of curriculum and the focus of the program. I do not recommend saying I'm interested in this program because it has a great residence hall. Um, some students do that. I don't recommend that. But they are really looking for students who are interested in studying and learning more about whatever that particular topic is. So that's how we recommend that you fill out that form, is make sure you're thinking carefully about why you're interested in that program. Someone also asked, is there an advantage to submitting the form, earlier last week versus on February 16th? No. We will consider and place all students who submit the form on or before February 16th. So if you submitted on February 16th at 11:30 p.m., that is fine. We will still take that form and make sure that you're placed in a program. Okay. Other questions? Are there questions that you guys have, HAs, that you've talked about? Oh, I see a good one. Can you talk a bit about the required courses within DCC? Where's my DCC person? Wait, I don't have a DCC person. Oops. Christy, are you able to do that?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So DCC, in your first semester of DCC, you take a class that I think is called DCC 105, which is really like an introduction to design. And the way Professor Pfister has been teaching it has been kind of around some key design terms that you're learning. But then what's really at the heart and soul of that class are a series of projects. They did a film festival. They did something, they designed something for sort of a dystopian future. I can't even remember what it was. I just remember that the students were so excited about it. I just looked at this syllabus recently, and I don't. The specifics are escaping me, but I remember it was built around like 5 projects where you were just building 5 very different things. A real world video versus a whatever they designed for dystopian future versus I can't remember what all 5 of them were. So that's what you start just designing, and it's playing with design from the very start. And then that's the start. The end will be a capstone course in your 4th semester, so the second semester of your sophomore year. And that's really where you like dive deep into your own project. I went to their capstone awards ceremony where they recognized kind of 5 really outstanding capstone projects this past fall from the previous spring. And those 5 projects could not have been more different. I told you the one about the deep sea recycled materials one. There was also a woman whose family had come from Sudan, I think, like during the war, and she interviewed members of her family and put together this video that was just like raw and so heartfelt and so thoughtful and so moving. Then there's another student, if you look on our social media, you'll see this. He used his woodworking skills to renovate the entire DCC makerspace. That was his capstone project. It was mind blowing the work he did on that. So that's what, you start in this kind of introduction to design class where you're just playing with things. You end with this capstone where you're like really going deep on your passion project. And in between are kind of topical elective classes. Jessica Liu, the associate director of that program, just taught a class in the fall that was about like textiles for sustainability. They were learning about how to create and reuse textiles in sustainable ways, our clothing for the most part, but they were also like going to thrift shops and working on it together. I don't know what they ended up making. I asked her to send me pictures. I haven't seen anything yet. They were doing some sewing. She was very clear nobody needed sewing skills. This is the great thing about DCC is like they're just unabashed about learning new things. You don't know how to sew, you know how to sew, you're going to help me sew. Like, I mean, they just hack it out together. It's amazing. But if you wanted actual descriptions of their courses, I'm sure that's on their website. That was a more narrative explanation of their courses.
All right. I see, Mallory, you requested to answer a couple questions about ILS, about whether the ILS related classes may also meet the bio major. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Mostly I selected to answer these live just because I saw them coming up like repeatedly. So you definitely. So ILS students, they take um genetics, an ILS specific genetics course, but it gets you credit for like any genetics class. So if you're a bio major, that gets your genetics credit. Additionally, there's a cell biology and physiology class that ILS students take. Most ILS students take it, and that also gets you out of that upper level credit, that upper level course, required course for gen bio, and I think a lot of the specific bio pathways. So yes, ILS courses can get you out of, they can get you to fulfill the requirements for your biology major. And if you're a pre-medical student, you need genetics and cell biology and physiology. So that's helpful as well. And then also, it is okay if you've not taken AP Bio in high school. This is something on the newer side in ILS. You can still be accepted into ILS without having taken AP Bio, just like what was said before, you would just take your first year of college biology, and then the next year, your sophomore year fall, you would enroll in Dr. El Said, our director's course, which is the integrated integrative quantitative concepts in biology. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mallory. Ursula, there's a couple of questions about coursework and IBH. Will you talk
I
about
was I was just about to answer it, but honestly, so IBH has is made up of obviously has like 15 credits, but it's like five classes with the fifth one kind of being kind of like up to you when you're kind of deciding whether it's going to be like an elective that kind of fits with the business space. On the IBH website, there's a list of kind of pre-approved classes that fit like that fifth kind of elective class. But for kind of like the coursework, we kind of have one class every single semester for your first 2 years. Um, we have classes that focus on things from like future of work to future of analysis, and then you end with doing your capstone in your second semester of sophomore year. So all students are taking those classes. There's no like specific tracks or kind of curriculums or focuses. All students are taking those kind of classes together. We are kind of a pretty small program, I would say. We're only around like 60, 70 students per cohort. So we really do get to know each other pretty well, and you kind of build those relationships really quickly with people in your kind of like your cohort and generally with the program. So those are the people you're going to be doing kind of all four of your classes with, and then the fifth one is kind of like that elective, quote unquote. And then kind of in that kind of capstone project that you're going to be doing in your second year, is kind of with external partners. So you kind of work with a variety of companies. IBH does a great job of bringing in different capstone partners every single year. I TA'd actually for the course. I know last year they had Clark Construction as one of the main ones. I worked actually for a water technology company doing like supply chain development. So again, like there's very different kind of different types of projects, and every single year they make sure to bring in projects for I would say students of all backgrounds because where it's not just business, where I think it's like around 50% business, 50% not. So it's like because of that, there's a variety of projects, not just for the business majors, but it's also projects that do tie in the kind of like the business coursework that you learn in the program. But it really ties it into majors from like engineering or STEM or bio or music or really anything that really kind of you learn and kind of tie in those skills to kind of culminate your experience in your second year.
Thank you. Um, Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna jump in and start talking for it so you can take a break.
Oh, I'm going to ask actually, Sneha, there's some questions in here about ACEs. What are the courses like? Do you need prior cybersecurity experience? Um, can you talk about that?
Sure. So, ACES has six required courses. Three of them are your core sequence, which is like your foundations course. So, basically teaching you about like Bash and networks and things like that. And it'll culminate in the final class, which is all about the Honeypot project, which is sort of our version of a capstone. And then you also have to take two seminars, which are more about the applied nature of cybersecurity. So there's classes in like communications, policy, digital forensics, things like that. And then the final class is an experiential learning class. So this is basically a reflection on um, either an internship experience or a research experience. And you don't need any cybersecurity experience coming into this. The foundation courses do a good job of building your knowledge up from the start. Um, I think often what is like the best trait to have is just like a sense of curiosity and also like resilience because it is like new topics and like so we do a good job of like teaching you from the ground up, but I think the most important thing is that you need to stick with it because it is really rewarding.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in really quickly. It's actually a fun question. I just want to jump in for UH. There's a question that says, how are students selected into their house? Do they use a sorting hat? Betty, do you know?
So I'm pretty sure. So like the first class we take, it's the gateway class, and I'm pretty sure your house is determined based on the section you register for, because everybody in my gateway class was in the same house. So it's not a hat, I don't think, but it is really fun. There's like point competitions throughout the year, for going to like events like basketball games, social events in UH. You can fill out a form to get points, and then there's all kinds of prizes like UH merch you can get, which is really cool. So yeah, it's a really definitely a really fun way to bond with your classmates.
And since I have you, we're going to stay with you really quickly to answer a couple other questions. Um, so, of course, university honors is this is what is special about university honors. Whoops, it just jumped. Um, they want to get a little bit more information about how the different clusters work, since it seems pretty broad.
Sure, yeah. So there are many different clusters and tracks that you can do within university honors. I personally did an AI cluster and a surveillance cluster, which were both really interesting. I really like the fact that they aren't necessarily related to your major. It kind of gives you a break from your major classes to learn about something that's obviously really important in the world today and is impacting everyone. I really liked also being in class with people that lived on my floor last year, which was really cool. But you have so many different options to take what interests you, and the professors are all really fun and engaging and friendly, and it's just a great experience.
Thank you. And do you happen to know when the new clusters are going to be announced or no?
I'm not completely sure. I feel like there are some expiring in 2026, so I don't know if
Yeah.
they're already out for like next year. I know like I think surveillance is expiring this year, but I'm pretty sure like biodiversity I think is still like going on next year, and I think some like that. But yeah, they're all on the website. But it's really cool how they cycle old ones out, new ones in, keeping everything really current and giving you lots of options to choose from.
And I'll chime in on this because, yes, each of those clusters sticks around for 2 years, and students can take the cluster that's in its last year next year. So there will be one cluster that started in 2025 and is going till 2027. So it'll have 1 year left when you come in, and you can take that cluster in your first year. Then there will also be 4 new clusters coming up, and they're not on the website yet. They're in the works. We know what they are. They haven't been announced. So those will start next year, and you'll be eligible to take those as well. And then the tracks, which are on the website, just stay. So the tracks are not coming and going. So the tracks that you see on the website, those classes will be available to you also. Not every semester, there'll still be some mixing and matching to figure out what you can fit into your schedule. But if you find the tracks interesting, you'll be able to do them. So basically, most of what you need to know is there. The 4 clusters that will be continuing on are there. The tracks are there. The only thing that's currently missing are the 4 new clusters, and we'll get to see those very soon.
Thank you. Um, I see a few different questions that are being upvoted regarding how the preferencing works. Um, Asking what do we use it to prefer or review the preferencing. So your application package is available for the program staff to look at. So they anything that's in there, they'll have access to see. I see they're asking about essays. I will say that it's not necessarily looking at essays, but there may be some programs that look at essays to see your interest, to see if it may line up with their program, if they feel like you would benefit from the program, um, and bringing you into the program will benefit them. So there isn't anything specific I would say they're looking at, but they have access to everything just to get a holistic view of you as a person. So they could look at your essay, they could look at those short answers that you put in there. They could look at your coursework that you've taken, the extracurricular activities that you were in. Um, so they're going to try to do a holistic view, basically. Um, Okay, so some residential life questions. I answered some of them, but I see some more popping in. So, um, I see questions asking about rooming with other honor students and then non-honor students. So, um, if you are in ACES, ILS, or IBH, am I missing one of those? No. Okay, then you will have to room with someone in your LLP because they have a residential requirement. If you are in any of the other programs, you do have an assigned residential hall where we highly suggest that you stay. If you do nothing else and you apply for, you submit your applications for housing, you'll be automatically put into one of those residential halls. Now, there are students who may have like a friend that is not in honors that they may want to room in. If you're in one of the other programs, you can request it. You guys have to reach out to the Department of Residential Life to request that. Um, I can't say that it's guaranteed, but you can put the request in. We do have students that do that. And so that for non-honor students, for honor students to room with other honor students that are not in their program, you won't be able to do that. So I hope that answers those questions. Um, do, 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 do. I'm typing the answer. Can we get some students to talk about? I saw something about study abroad. Has anyone done study abroad? Okay.
No, but I know a lot about it because I did have some plans to do it. Yeah, I think it's very possible to study abroad. I think also, just speaking about ILS specifically, there's kind of like people have this idea that they can't study abroad in ILS, which is like not true whatsoever. So for example, if you want to study abroad as early as your freshman or sophomore year, even that's possible. So most underclassmen do the short-term programs, such as going to Taiwan for winter break, or they go somewhere over spring break. Like for example, in the chemistry department, you can go to Ghana over spring break. And then also the summer programs as well. It's harder to study abroad during the semester early on in college, generally speaking, but I would say it's definitely possible. And then our upperclassmen will definitely do like a full year abroad, or they'll do a whole semester abroad. So I think it's definitely possible to do. And the Education Abroad office is very helpful. They're very clear about how to do everything. So yeah, it's definitely possible.
I actually just came back from a winter semester in Italy, so I can speak a little bit more about this. I originally wanted to go for a semester, and it is fully possible within GEMS as well. However, it was my choice not to go because I realized that I didn't want to miss out on the opportunities here. So instead, my family and I compromised, and I said, I'm going to go over winter, which turned out perfectly. So I did something that is completely has nothing to do with my major. I studied ancient Greek and ancient Roman mythology and architecture. So if we go to Pompeii and you show me an old house, like an old ruin, I'm able to tell you what time it was built just by looking from the at the rocks, which I thought is really cool. So it was an amazing experience. I met so many different people who are not even in my program, and we're still so close. Like I saw one of the girls today. So if you have the opportunity, if you have the funds, I would say definitely go, even if you're considering like how to make it work with all your courses. It is possible. It is always possible. And GEMS has a policy where if you do want to do a semester, then you can go your sophomore spring or any of your 2 semesters junior year. They encourage it sometimes as well. So as long as your team's okay with it, do what you need to do.
And Tony, I'm going to come back to you because you wanted to answer a question about Okay, when Antonia spoke on not taking specific classes for GEMS, it left me wondering if the research on the projects chosen or done during specific classes time slots, or if it's purely like a very committed extracurricular on top of regular classwork for degrees. You want to talk about that?
Yes, of course. So, as a freshman in fall, you're going to take GEMS 101. It's lecture-based and it's discussion-based. So, essentially, that's when you get introduced to research. You're going to look at the ethical, the moral concerns, how to conduct it properly, stuff like that. And then moving on, spring semester, you're going to take GEMS 102. That, of course, is also a lecture-based course, and you're going to be able to split into teams then. You will preference your projects, you will present and pitch whatever you are passionate about. So it really depends on you, not the people that you want on your team. That comes afterwards. Choose what you want to do for the next 3 years. After that, sophomore year, in the fall, that's when you're going to take your last lecture course with everyone in the program. After that, it's you meeting with your mentor once a week for an hour and you meeting independently with your team for an hour. Other than that, it is up to you. So if you're doing wet lab research, you're going to find a block of time within your schedule that you are going to go into lab. If you are doing some kind of more literary analysis type of thing or coding, stuff like that, you will also find time on your own to do that. But it's the same thing with every research opportunity on campus. It is up to your schedule, and you have to look and be responsible enough to figure out what time can you dedicate to this extracurricular opportunity. That's going to be continued throughout junior year and as well as senior year. Senior year, you will finally end with a thesis conference that will conclude your time in Gemstone. So honestly, it's the last 2 years where you are fully independent and you just meet with your mentor. But other than that, there are 3 courses that help streamline the process when it's everyone in a room together.
Thank you, Antonia. We have about 10 minutes left, so before I come to any other questions, I just want to put some reminders out there. First, if you have questions after tonight, feel free to contact us. Our email address is honorsadmissions@umd.edu. Remember that we have our virtual drop-in hours. There's a slot tomorrow. From 3 to 5 p.m. And I will put in the website for the Zoom. Just come on in anytime during those 2 hours. Tomorrow will be Chantel and a couple of our honors ambassadors. Or anyone who's on this call, are you guys doing those hours or is it different students tomorrow? Sorry, I can't see everyone. No. Okay, so I think it's 2 different students tomorrow. So if you want more different perspectives or you have questions, feel free. You can have a one-on-one conversation anytime from that 3 to 5 p.m. block. And then I also want to plug, we offer host a day opportunities. So if you want to meet one of our current students, we can pair you with one of our current honors ambassadors, might be one of the folks on this call tonight, where you can depending on what your schedule is and what works for you and the honors ambassador you are paired with, you can come on campus and shadow that student, attend classes for all or part of the day, what works for you guys. Or if you're, you don't have time to come to campus, you can set up a time to have a one-on-one chat, FaceTime, Zoom, phone call, whatever works for you guys with one of our current honors ambassadors. So that link there that I just put into the chat has the form. Fill out that form, and we will get busy working to match you with one of our current students. Okay, I think that's all the plugs. Chantel, did I miss anything?
No, you got it.
Okay.
A lot of plugs, but we're trying to give you multiple opportunities to get to know us so that you can make a well-educated decision for yourself. I did want to jump to the students really quickly because I saw a question come up and I don't know if I pushed it out or not. But anyways, in regards to roommate finder, can you guys talk about that process if you want to the roommate finder process and then I know each year, I don't know if they still do this on Facebook, but like there usually are Facebook groups for each cohort year coming in when you're looking for like someone to roommate with.
I can talk a little bit about it from like my experience. So, when you're kind of coming in, I know they do like on Instagram, they do like class of whatever, kind of like when you're coming in and you can do like a post. And I know a lot of people like mention what honors program that they're in, like if they're in one or if they're in scholars or something. But I also know like when you come onto like when you do kind of like your orientation, there's like an honor specific date. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's gonna be one. But there are honor specific dates that they kind of encourage you to sign up for because it's only honor students that are coming to campus that day. And there's a moment during the day where they also separate you out by kind of honors programs. They also get to meet more people. One of the people who I actually met during orientation, she's one of my roommates still like now, funnily enough. So it's like you really do meet like the people you meet then are kind of you're gonna stay with them kind of through like you're gonna be tied with them for like the rest of your college career. So kind of you get to meet people there, but also kind of like through Instagram and kind of like you also meet like if you know that someone's looking, you kind of like connect each other through there as well. So I actually found my roommate like online. We kind of found each other through Instagram and then met at orientation and kind of like checked to see if like we were a good fit in terms of like our schedule and everything. And we actually lived together our first 2 years, both in like our honors dorm. So I would say like you do get like a lot of opportunities to do so, and it's kind of like it goes like I would say happens like organically, and it's like it's not really that big of a concern because they do a pretty good job, especially for like IBH, which is like you're required to live in the dorm. Like you'll be paired with someone, and they do your best. Like even if you go random, you'll be paired with someone like obviously within the program and someone that like kind of fits your schedule through like the roommate finder.
I can add on to that. Just like talking about ILS specifically, over the summer we host two roommate mixers that are kind of like a mix of speed dating style and also like there are games where you will basically meet other students in ILS and we have opportunities where you can provide your contact information, connect with people on social media. So that's a way that a lot of ILS students find their freshman year roommate. So then they'll create their group in the housing portal and then they'll be assigned to a room basically over the summer and they'll find out what their housing assignment is. So that's ILS specifically.